Hi, I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
We're the insiders. So Scott, big elections in the spring here. Maybe not as big as we sometimes see. There was no Supreme Court race. There was no state superintendent of public instruction. And usually we do have a state superintendent or a public instruction for public instruction or a Supreme Court race. But there were important elections in Milwaukee and elsewhere. So what's your take?
Well, I think in the suburbs and other parts of Wisconsin, it was a big night for Republicans. The media sort of acknowledged, to my surprise, that it was a big night for conservatives across southeastern Wisconsin. And that's important because that's an area where Republicans have underperformed in recent statewide elections. So lots of wins in school board. You had a Republican woman get elected as the first Republican and first female county executive in Kenosha County. Lots of big wins in both school board races and city council races in this area. But it went beyond that. In Green Bay, big wins by conservatives. In La Crosse, big wins by conservatives. In Portage County, the first Republican perhaps ever as the county executive in that county. So I think all that portends well for Republicans in the fall in a state that's a 50-50 state. It looks like the enthusiasm in many areas is on the Republican side with Republican voters. So I feel good about that. In Milwaukee, you saw what is probably a once in a generation change where we elected new leadership in the city of Milwaukee. Chevy Johnson elected as the first African-American mayor of the city of Milwaukee. And now the leadership of that city and county is younger, led by a group of young African-American leaders. I think that portends well for the future. They're working very hard, I think, to reset the relationship with the legislature and Republicans. Both Chevy Johnson and County Executive Crowley are reaching out to them. So I'm hopeful that Milwaukee area will finally have better relations with the legislature in the years to come.
Well, a lot of interesting topics there. Notice that we are not talking anymore in code terms about conservatives versus liberals in the spring. Let's just put it right on the table, Scott. I guess it's Republicans and Democrats. And I think that's a loss for Wisconsin. It goes back to the La Follette era and reforms where we tried to separate partisan races and make it just about local government issues. But that wasn't the case here. And it wasn't just because it just so happened that Republicans won or that it was a good year. There were literally hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on the Green Bay City Council race by Republicans in order to win nonpartisan races there. I have a little bit different take on this. I think what it is it's part of a disturbing thing that's going on with the Republicans, that they have decided, okay, we may not be able to overturn the 2020 election, and that's only for the crazy wing of our party. But you know, if we do this right, we can make sure that we run these elections in such a way that Democrats really don't have an opportunity to vote in the numbers they need to vote in order to win. And that's why they wanted to make sure they won all of these local races. And I think they're also trying to build the base there. And that base building has been going on by both parties. But I think there's a more nefarious role here that Republicans are trying to play in control of local government, which does, by the way, then decide who's going to be the city clerk. And because of, as Scott himself has stated, 60% of the Republican base is worried about election integrity when there is no question about it. It's only done because people in leadership like Robin Vos question whether there's integrity of the election. That's what's going on. I don't know that the election of all those Republicans is a reflection so much of a change in where the state is as it may be in terms of their efforts to really try to figure out if we can steal the election either by not letting Democrats vote or in some way maybe making it so that certain votes aren't counted literally. So we'll see how that develops. With regard to Milwaukee, yes, it is a generational change, and Scott's absolutely right. It only happens about once a generation. You had John Norquist for a long time. You have Tom Barrett. You go back to Frank Seidler. It's kind of a tradition in Milwaukee that once you're in, you're there for a long time.
Mayor Meyer was there all of my childhood, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mayor Meyer. I missed the big kahuna. So it's really a very, it probably is a generational shift. And I think it was something that people saw coming in Milwaukee. And I think that they are good leaders, both Crowley and Chvala and Jensen, and I think that they will do good things. And I have noticed that he is trying to reach out to the legislature. Let me give a cautionary note to both of them. You can reach out to Robin Boss. You can go and kiss the ring. You're going to find out the same thing Barack Obama found out about Republicans at the national level. They don't care about you. They're not going to help you. They're going to continue to cut shared revenue. Don't believe for a second that those right-wing caucuses that we have over there are going to take care of Milwaukee. Go try, make an effort. Maybe you can say, oh, you know, Tom Barrett ran for governor as a Democrat. I just want to run the city of Milwaukee. I think it's a noble effort on their part. Ain't going to happen, guys. Hear me now, believe me later.
Well, I actually think that Chevy Johnson's going to make a big effort at this. He's already reached out to lots of Republicans. And I think it's something he's going to do with David Crowley as well. You know, something I didn't know until just last week was that those two guys went to high school together. And they haven't literally known each other since high school. And I think that's a good thing for the city of Milwaukee going forward, for the city and the county to be working together in trying to get changes they need at the state legislature. And I have found Republicans are quite open to the outreach that those two gentlemen have initiated already. So I'm more optimistic than you are about that, but we will see.
I'm optimistic about their relationship, not about between the two of them, not about the relationship with the Republicans. I've seen this show too many times. We'll see you next time, guys.